So Mariette, getting hired in any business is always a tough process, but what do you feel are the biggest challenges for a young graduate looking to get their first job in hospitality?
I think there are two that are most pertinent to myself and I think to my peers as well. And the first one I think was all the more relevant now that our industry is changing, and especially through COVID, was the misaligned expectations. Clearly a lot of my peers that were being hired, and myself included, we were getting job descriptions and briefs of our positions which didn't end up coming through for the better or for the worse. And I think that this is an industry-wide problem, that we have misaligned expectations both from the recruiter's point of view as well as from our point of view. And I think that links nicely into the second challenge, at least for me, and I think that it's relevant as well for the others, is the tight-knit community. And I mean, it is definitely an advantage that we have in our industry because we are so close, and it's really a very small world in our community. Everybody knows each other in the hospitality and luxury industry. But then in that respect, it can also be very hard to enter those networks. And as young professionals, we don't necessarily have the skills or the network to begin with in order to start building our community. And I think that's one of the main challenges as well that we're facing. Now,
you're a BBA 7 student, which means you've already probably had various conversations with recruiters. You've done 2 professional internships as well. So you've seen the industry and spoken to the industry. So what have you learned from this, if you like, with regard to the current talent requirements for the industry?
I think this is something that's very interesting, and that when we're in school that we're learning as well to tackle, is that you can lack the hard skills, but it's really about the soft skills. We see it every day, and you can't know how to operate every single different platform. You can't know all of those hard skills, but it really comes down to the soft skills. And I think we can talk about soft skills as being communication skills or networking, like I previously mentioned, but I think there are 3 that are most important today. The first one is agility and being able to adapt to change, especially when you're entering an industry. Like I said, the expectations are different, but as well our industry is constantly changing, so it's important as a young professional to be open to that change and to that agility. In addition to that, I think confidence is very important. We're all starting in this industry knowing that we have very little experience, and yet that shouldn't stop us from being confident, because if you're confident and if you know what you want, people will take you seriously. But on the flip side, from being confident is the ability to be humble. And I think the constant willingness to learn. It's what we see in a lot of professionals that are very successful today, is they're always saying that they went into their job and they're constantly going through their life with that willingness to learn. And as a young professional, we might think that we're fresh out of university and that we know it all, but you have to stay humble and you have to be able to learn.
Now, Don, staying on the subject of skills, obviously as a hospitality student, you start your first semester learning a lot of the practical skills of hospitality. But in terms of that well-rounded knowledge base, how important do you feel it is to incorporate other elements like sort of marketing knowledge, finance, and in terms of being a kind of an all-round professional? Yeah,
I think it's important when you start your career, and it might be important further on. The ability to know and be knowledgeable in many fields is coming more and more in handy now that departments in organizations are becoming less siloed. We're starting to have much more positions that are being created that have a more holistic approach towards the whole business strategy. And I think the ability to put yourself in that perspective and mindset of having a big knowledge base is all the more important, even if you're not actively working in marketing, to understand the strategy and the business strategy. And being able to put yourself in the shoes of the people working in marketing is only going to make businesses more efficient. So in the short term, I think it's very important to be a well-rounded professional. So in order to have that mindset and that perspective when you're coming into your business, but also at the end of the day for leadership skills as well, it's important to know what the others are facing. So it comes in handy in the beginning of your career and especially at the end as well.
And do you think it's also important these days to demonstrate a good level of what we call digital savvy as a prospective employee?
Yes, I think it's something that's constantly changing as well. So of course it's important to know your basics, your Excel, your Microsoft, but I think it's more of a mindset, as I said as well. It's the understanding, it's important to understand how much technology can help us. And all these organizations are becoming more and more streamlined today. And we're seeing companies such as Like Magic, which is a digital platform that essentially is regrouping all the operations of a hotel onto an application. So it might sound very hopeful and very optimistic, but it's the truth. And whether you like it or not, these technologies are helping us make our jobs easier and more efficient. So it's important. We're not asking individuals and professionals to know how to use all of these platforms. Obviously, we're not going to spend all day in front of our computers trying to figure out the tiny details, but that digital savviness is going to come in the curiosity and the willingness to learn and to adapt to these technologies.
And it's time to give away a bit of a trade secret now. So what would you say is the best or most useful piece of advice you've been given in terms of navigating the hiring process?
But something that really resonated to me that I've been hearing pretty often these days is knowing why you're here. So a lot of professionals were told to apply to as many jobs as possible and really get your name out there, which is of course very important for the networking aspect and to know what's out there. But it's also important to know why you're applying. And I think, in my personal opinion, if you're applying for something like the money or the location, it can be important in the short run. But what'll really make you happy and what'll really be able to give perspective to your position is knowing why you're there in terms of learning. So I am looking at jobs positions and applying to internships and jobs because I want to learn something from them. And this is allowing me to set goals for myself and to really have a perspective on my overall success. What I mean by that is that if you're in a job and you're unhappy, you need to know why you're unhappy. And if you set those goals from the beginning, saying, I want to learn this or I want to network like that, you're going to be able to benchmark yourself and understand and know when it's okay to let go as well and know what you're expecting from it.
Mariette, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.